She wasn't supposed to die like this. A dancer, a lover, a secret that could destroy a man's career, and a crime scene that would leave even the detectives in tears. But what happened between a small-town judge and a woman he tried to forget would haunt Ohio forever. When police entered her apartment that morning, they didn't just find a body. They found a message, one that pointed straight to the man who swore an oath to protect justice. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Her name was Keisha Monroe, 28 years old, born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. She had dreams once, the kind every small-town girl whispers to herself late at night. She wanted to be a nurse, to help people, to matter. But life had other plans. By the time she turned 23, those dreams had been traded for survival. The stage lights of a gentleman's club became her reality, the dollar bills her paycheck, and the hollow compliments from strangers her only validation. But if you ask anyone who truly knew her, they'll tell you Keisha was more than what she did for money. She was witty, sharp-tongued when she needed to be, and kind in ways that surprised people. She'd slip extra fries to the homeless man outside her building. She'd call her mother every Sunday, even when the conversations were hard. She carried hope like a fragile thing, tucked deep inside where the world couldn't see it. Every night she smiled for strangers, but her heart ached for stability. She wanted love, not just survival. And then, one night in the fall of 2016, she met him, Judge Robert Fielding, 52 years old, powerful, respected, married for 26 years, father of 2 college-aged kids, a man whose signature could send someone to prison or set them free. He walked into an upscale club just outside Columbus, a place where men like him went when they wanted to pretend they were invisible. At first, he was just another face in the crowd, another man in a suit nursing whiskey in the corner. But that night, when she took the stage, something shifted. Their eyes met. And in that moment, a connection sparked that neither of them could ignore. What Keisha didn't know was that this man's affection would soon become her death sentence. It started the way these things always do. Casual, innocent almost. He came back the next week, and the week after that. He'd sit in the same corner, order the same drink, and wait for her. Eventually, he asked her to meet him outside the club. A coffee shop at first, then dinner at a hotel restaurant an hour away from the city. He told her his name, but not his title, not at first. When she found out he was a judge, she laughed. She thought he was joking. He wasn't. The affair grew in the shadows, hotel rooms booked under fake names, expensive gifts left in her car, late-night phone calls that stretched until sunrise. He promised her things. "I'll take care of you," he'd say. "I'll help you get out of this life. You deserve better." And for the first time, she believed someone saw her, not just the body she sold to survive. But love, if that's what it was, came with a price. He started calling more often, asking where she was, who she was with. The gifts came with questions. The compliments came with conditions. He didn't like when she worked certain nights. He didn't like when other men talked to her. He wanted loyalty, exclusivity, control. She confided in a friend one night over cheap wine and cigarettes. "If he wasn't a judge, I'd call it what it is. Obsession." Her friend warned her, "Girl, powerful men don't leave their wives, and they don't let go easy." But Keisha stayed. Maybe because she wanted to believe. Maybe because she didn't know how to walk away. Then, 6 months into the affair, everything changed. She went to a free clinic after feeling ill for weeks. Fatigue, night sweats, weight loss. The doctor ran tests. When the results came back, the words didn't echo. They screamed, "You're HIV positive." She sat in that sterile room, staring at a pamphlet she couldn't read through her tears. The diagnosis was devastating, but what broke her most wasn't the sickness. It was the thought of who gave it to her. And when she confronted him, everything changed. She called him late one night, her voice shaking, her words sharp. "Did you know? Did you know and still sleep with me? He denied it, accused her of sleeping around, blamed her lifestyle, her choices, her past. She screamed into the phone, "I trusted you. You said you'd protect me." His tone shifted. Cold now. Calculated. "You need to be careful what you say, Keisha. People won't believe you. You know that, right?" It was a threat wrapped in concern, and she heard it loud and clear. But Keisha wasn't the kind of woman to stay silent. Not anymore. She told him if he didn't come clean, if he didn't help her, she'd go public. She'd tell his wife. She'd tell the press. She'd make sure everyone knew what kind of man Judge Robert Fielding really was. In the world of power and justice, silence is currency, and Keisha was about to go broke. He panicked. He sent her money, envelopes stuffed with cash left in her mailbox, text messages begging her to reconsider. Then came the legal threats. "If you slander me, I'll bury you in court. You'll lose everything." But she didn't back down. She started documenting everything, screenshots of their messages, receipts from hotels, photos he'd sent her. She even recorded a phone call. And then she reached out to someone she thought she could trust, a local journalist who'd been covering stories about abuse of power in the Ohio court system. That journalist received a package, no return address. Inside were printed text messages, bank transfer records, and a handwritten letter from Keisha explaining everything. Within days, whispers started spreading, rumors in the courthouse, conversations in coffee shops. And then the headline hit. Judge accused in scandal with local dancer. His life started crumbling. Colleagues distanced themselves. His wife moved out. His kids stopped answering his calls. And Keisha, she started receiving threats. Anonymous messages, a car that followed her home one night. Friends warned her, "You need to leave town. You need to disappear." But she refused. "I'm not running," she said. "I'm not the one who should be ashamed." But before the story could reach the courtroom, one final act would silence her forever. It was a Tuesday morning in late April 2017. A neighbor in Keisha's apartment complex heard screaming around 2 a.m. Loud, desperate, then silence. She thought about calling the police, but convinced herself it was just another fight between couples. By 8 a.m., that same neighbor noticed Keisha's door slightly open. She knocked. No answer. She pushed it wider and saw something that made her stomach turn. Keisha Monroe was dead. The police arrived within minutes. The scene was chaotic. Furniture overturned, drawers pulled open. It looked like a robbery. But the detectives knew better. Her purse was still there, her phone untouched, jewelry sitting on the dresser. Nothing was missing. Her body told a story of violence, bruising around her neck, defensive wounds on her hands. But her apartment told one of fear. Forensic teams swept the scene. They found fibers, unusual ones, expensive fabric, the kind used in judicial robes. They found a partial fingerprint on the door frame. And they found something else. A payphone receipt in the trash, barely visible, dated 2 nights before her death. Someone had called her from a payphone in a part of town she'd never been to. When investigators traced the number, the location, and cross-referenced it with nearby security footage, the name that appeared shocked even the FBI. The same system that promised to protect her was the one she feared most. And when investigators traced that phone call, the name that appeared shocked even the FBI. The investigation moved fast, but not fast enough for some. Evidence linking Judge Robert Fielding to Keisha Monroe's death began piling up. The fibers matched his courtroom robe. The phone records showed calls between them up until the night before her death. Witnesses came forward, a hotel clerk who remembered checking him in under a fake name, a bartender who saw them argue weeks before she died. But then something strange happened. The case slowed down. Internal pressure mounted. City officials expressed concern about due process. The district attorney's office seemed hesitant. Detectives were told to be thorough, to be careful, to make sure everything was airtight. Some saw it as protocol, others saw it as a cover-up. Meanwhile, Judge Fielding's life unraveled in public. His wife filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences and emotional distress. His children refused to speak to him. Colleagues who once respected him now avoided him in the halls. The media camped outside his home. Protesters gathered outside the courthouse holding signs. Justice for Keisha. No one is above the law. Her family spoke out. Keisha made mistakes. She lived a life some people judged, but she didn't deserve this. She was somebody's daughter, somebody's friend. She mattered. Journalists dug deeper. They found rumors of past misconduct, complaints from clerks, allegations from years ago that were quietly buried. This wasn't his first abuse of power. It was just the first time someone fought back. And just when it seemed like he'd finally face justice, the case took a darker turn. 3 days before his preliminary hearing, Judge Robert Fielding was found unresponsive in his home. An empty bottle of sleeping pills on the nightstand, a half-written note on the desk. Paramedics revived him. He survived. When questioned later, off the record, he told a close friend something chilling. It wasn't supposed to go that far. But what did that mean? Was it a confession? Was it regret? Or was it something else entirely? The legal system moved cautiously. Defense attorneys argued insufficient physical evidence. Yes, there were fibers. Yes, there were calls. But no murder weapon, no witnesses to the actual crime, no DNA directly linking him to the moment of her death. They painted Keisha as troubled, reckless, someone with enemies. And slowly, the narrative began to shift. Judge Fielding never stood trial for murder. Instead, he was stripped of his position, disbarred, his reputation destroyed, but he walked free. The courtroom of public opinion convicted him, but the court of law did not. Then, weeks after the case was quietly closed, something leaked. An autopsy report. One that hadn't been fully disclosed to the public. It revealed details far more brutal than what police had originally shared. Injuries suggesting prolonged struggle. Evidence suggesting more than one person may have been involved. Was this a cover-up, or a message to others who try to expose the powerful? The truth, it seemed, would remain buried. Just like Keisha. Keisha Monroe's funeral was small. Her mother sat in the front row, clutching a photo of her daughter as a little girl. Friends from the club came, some co-workers, a few activists. News vans lined the street outside, but they kept their distance. Her mother stood at the podium and said only this: "My baby wanted to be seen. She wanted to matter, and now she's gone, and the people who should have protected her didn't." In the months that followed, a community fund was created in Keisha's name. It helped women leaving the sex industry. It paid for counseling, job training, housing assistance. Her story became a rallying cry, not just in Ohio, but across the country. Women who'd been silenced started speaking. Survivors who'd been ignored started demanding accountability. Keisha's story wasn't just about a crime. It was about power, and what happens when the powerless fight back. Her case remains officially unsolved in terms of conviction. But in the hearts of those who knew her, who marched for her, who refused to let her name fade, justice took a different form. Not in a courtroom, but in a movement, and in a promise. That her life, however complicated, however judged, mattered. That she deserved to be remembered, not as a headline, not as a scandal, but as a human being, a daughter, a dreamer, a woman who dared to stand up and paid the ultimate price. Keisha Monroe's death still divides Ohio. Was she a victim of love, or a system that protects its own? What do you believe happened that night? Let's talk in the comments below. If this story broke your heart like it did ours, please like this video. It helps others see it. And subscribe if you want more true stories that deserve to be told.